Hey there, have you thought about tapping into your inner creative or your kids' inner creatives during this time of lockdown that we have a little extra time? If you have not done so, or maybe you thought of it but you don't know how to do, in this episode I have my husband Sergio, who is an artist, that is going to share with us what we can do to tap into our inner artists. Welcome to Parenting Hacks with Dr. Yanina. As always, I am so thankful that you are watching this week's episode. And this time I am with my husband, Sergio.
Hello, everybody. Good to see you. Hi.
And Sergio is an artist, a professional artist, and he's also a curator. He's also an art gallery owner, and we both founded the Art NXT Level Academy, where we teach artists how to make a business out of their art, how to create an art business. You do most of the teaching, right?
That's correct.
When it comes to the art business, I do the wellness support, so I provide our students with wellness advice, but anything related to creativity, anything related to be creative and tap into that inner creative, that's your job.
That's right. Well, thank you so much for having me. Super excited to be here. And you've been to my show, Breakfast with Sergio.
Yes. And
so it's nice.
There you go. He has his own show for artists. It's called Breakfast with Sergio.
Then it's nice to now be in your show.
I know, right? I'm usually his guest. So you've been a guest, maybe this is your third time, I think, or fourth?
So, something, maybe like the third or something.
Yeah, third or fourth. So, you know that now that we are in lockdown, as you see, we're kind of in our family room, which I'm having a matcha green tea latte, and
I also have a matcha tea,
green
but it's different things I put on.
Yeah, he puts a lot of like weird stuff in his lattes. So, you know, we were talking about how some people believe that they're not creatives, and during this lockdown time, you know, we're many people are bored by now. Kids are bored, and you know they are looking to do. They're looking for things that they can do inside because you know they are not able to go outside to museums or art galleries or places or zoos or whatever it is. So you know what I wanted to talk about is that first, when it comes to feeling or believing that you're creative, is there such a thing that everyone is creative?
Well, I think everybody, you know, has a certain level of creativity within themselves. You know, I believe that as a human being, we have that inherent desire to be unique in some way, to be different in some way. You know, the fact that we all get up in the morning, we pick the clothes that we think they match. Well, maybe not so much now that nobody's watching in the lockdown, but normally when we go out, you know, we pick something that matches, that looks decent. You know, we do our hair in a certain way. The glasses that you buy at the store, out of the 3,000 samples, you pick the ones that you think are the best for you. So that you're exercising your creative self in every way. So, you know, even when somebody says, oh, I'm not creative, or I can only draw stick figures. Well, there's many different ways of being creative and to tap into that creativity in our own way, you know, as individuals.
Because there is this misconception that in order for you to be creative, you have to be a painter or a sculptor. You know, there is, you know, sometimes we don't think that creativity, it goes beyond that. For example, I was one of those people that I thought that I wasn't creative, and it's kind of crazy because I'm married to an artist, and our children, both of them, they have artistic skills. They're, you know, they draw and they paint and they love doing that. And here I am, and music too. And here I am like, okay, I cannot draw, I cannot paint, I cannot play any instrument, so I'm definitely not an artist. But then as you helped me to tap into that inner creative that we're going to be talking about, I discovered a few years ago that that the way I show creativity is through writing. So, and that's how I wrote my book, Moms Don't Quit. So we all have to give ourselves that opportunity to tap into that inner creative. So why don't you give us a couple of tips on how we can tap into our inner creative that we can also use with our children?
Yeah.
And what kind of things we can do with it.
Right. And I think some of the obstacles that sometimes we have is that ourselves, we believe that, okay, if I'm going to exercise my creativity, then I have to do it like an artist does, right? So the moment you think, oh, well, I can only draw stick figures, you know, then you start putting all these limitations because my art doesn't look as somebody else's art or whatnot, right? So I think, you know, if we want to tap into our creative self, particularly now that we are in home confinement, you know, you can exercise creativity by inventing a game, you know, with your kids. Maybe you invent something that wasn't there. Hey guys, you know, here's a good example. Maybe you have in your home, like, you know, remember those cassette tapes?
Oh my goodness, yes.
Those cassette tapes, or even the CD cases. You can stack them up in a tower and then play with your kids, you know, like see who can make the tallest tower. And then do how we can decorate the tower, right? Things of that nature where you're exercising the creativity, not only of yourself as the inventor of the game, but also now the kids participating in also bringing their own creativity. So in that way, you know, you are being creative, and maybe that's something that the kids will remember for many years. How in this lockdown, you know, they play with you who made the tallest tower, and maybe there's a prize for who does that, or things like that, you know. So kind of tapping into coming up with some unique way that wasn't there before, right? When you think about creativity, think about either something that you exists already that you do in a new way, or something that wasn't there before that you create. Right? Sometimes we think creativity has to be something like completely like a blank canvas and now you have this masterpiece. But you can be very creative with something that exists already. You know, let's say if you like music, you can take one of your favorite tunes and write a funny lyric.
Right, with your kids.
Let's rewrite this song, right? Let's karaoke with our own words. So in that way, you know, you are practicing creativity. Not from the standpoint of I have a blank canvas and I have to fill it in, but what's already out there that I can then tap into, bring my own, you know, mix of who I am and my own creative ideas, and come up with something new, you know, a remix.
Right. I mean, especially with preteens and teens, they have all these, you know, singers that they follow and things like that. Yeah. And it also reminded me as we were talking about that, you know, like what our daughter Naya did the other day. She asked us if we have DVDs that we don't use anymore, you know, and then she went into that collection of DVDs that movies that were even when they were little, that were in the basement when they were little, that and then she grabbed them and she painted them, and now they're on her wall. So you know, she came up with her own designs and she painted each one of them, and she created like scenes and things like that. So maybe that's something you know that your teen or twin can do as well, and then you know, stick it on the wall somehow, or you know, like you said, kind of like. And then I'm also thinking about magazines, you know, that you want to get rid of. They can do collages too,
absolutely,
and do projects like that. You know.
And that's something that you as a parent can model it by, you know, teaching them. They will see you, you know, how you are being creative with the resources that you have at hand. Now, right now, there's a lot of artists. I mean, a lot of you know, kids at home that maybe want to do some art, but there are not supplies around. You cannot just go to the store and purchase stuff, but maybe with the things that you find around that you might not be using, they become your material. And I think like the best creative ideas, even for artists, you know, this time around, I've been interviewing artists from around the world, and the best ideas are the ones where the artist like doesn't have his or her own actual tools, and now has to tap into what's available, right? And that kind of invites us to be creative.
It's kind of creativity 4.0.
Yes, exactly.
Like, okay, I don't have my tools. What am I gonna do? And what can I use in the house to make it be more creative and fun? Yeah. And
I think when, you know, some of the advantages of exercising our creativity, either ourselves, which we can, you know, as a parent, we can just do it by, you know, learning a new recipe and then adding your twist to it, you know, learning a new dance, or, you know, something that's kind of out of the ordinary. But, you know, when you tap into those things, allows you to experience time in a different manner. That's one of the advantages of being creative, that time, you experience time in a different way, because your mind is occupied in the creative process. Therefore, time is experienced not as as you are used to, because you're breaking that sequence.
As a chore, but rather as an experience.
You're trying to learn something new. When it's like when you are trying to put together you know, an IKEA table, right? It takes all day because, you know, the instructions sometimes are weird, or the tools they give you. Before you know, it's like, geez, I already spent 3 hours on this thing, right? So it's kind of like the same idea.
Yeah. And before we finish this episode, I wanted to ask you if parents are into trying to figure out how they can teach their kids. They might not be artists, but they're like, you know what? Yeah, maybe they can get into some resources to either introduce them to art or develop their art abilities or creativity. What is out there right now online that they can go to if they want to expand their knowledge in art or their knowledge in their own technique?
Well, one of the cool things is that most art museums, they're putting together programming for families to do at home. So check it out, go to MoMA, Museum of Modern Art, contemporary museums in every city. Most of them, you will find them on their programming or education department or link. And you will find activities that a lot of times you can do with your kids or they can do on their own. Ideas, some of them may have actual virtual programs where you can attend and they teach you how to do something certain times of the day. So there's a lot of that. Also on YouTube, you'll find tons of really cool activities, finger painting, you name it, paper making, all kinds of fun stuff that you can do at home with the things that you have and have a great and awesome time being creative yourself and your kids.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing those skills with us, those strategies rather with us. I really appreciate it, and I'm sure our moms are going to take advantage of what you have shared with them. And if for whatever reason we have a mom out there that she's an artist, that she would like to tap into her inner artist in a more professional way, how can they get a hold of you?
Well, you can Google Breakfast with Sergio if you want to find my show and all the social media platforms.
Let me just get it closer. Let me just get it closer.
No. So that, right? You can Google that, you'll find it. And also, if you want to follow me, the best platform is Instagram. Follow me at Sergio Gomez Art.
All right.
And let me know that you watched this episode. I'll give you a nice welcome.
There you go. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next episode. Until then, have a wonderful week.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.